Welcome, everybody, to a very special episode, the first episode of the Unplayables. What would you call it? A subreddit, a subcast of the Replayables. I am back with the only person I know that loves this game more than I do.
Oh
Welcome back,
God.
Tony. We are doing Quest 64 today.
Love is a strong word. It's like a love-hate relationship.
Yeah. No,
It's like,
this was kind of a no-brainer for us for the first episode of the Unplayables. I know that there's going to be fans of these games, and I know that just know that we're being cheeky. We're talking about our experiences with these games. If you are the biggest Quest 64 fan in the world, more power to you. If you're the fastest speedrunner of Quest 64, we're very proud of you. But we are here to talk about our experiences and kind of break down 98, where we were on the N64, where we were with the genre, and what this game meant to its library. So, without further ado, Tony, can you please tell me how you first played Quest 64, what your introduction to it was?
so I actually owned this game. I know a lot of people say it's like that rental copy. You saw it at Blockbuster, you rented it, and you got Friday night, you rented it, your parents they got a movie, here's a game to keep you distracted for the weekend. By
Yeah.
Saturday morning, you're like, I don't want to play this game anymore. I actually owned this game because I swore I saw it either in a Nintendo Power, I saw it in the store or something like, and it looked like the cover art drew me in. I was like, oh, this looks interesting. There's a guy with a magic, there's a dragon in the background, he's fighting like stuff. So it's like the cover art kind of drew me in for it. And it's like, it looks a little different than most Nintendo games. They're really blocky and everything. However, the cover art is a bit of a lie
Yeah,
compared to what the game really looks like.
a little bit.
And so it did lure me in, and it was like, oh, this looks interesting. And I swore I remember reading about it in like a Nintendo Power and seeing like you get to do all this stuff and like you get these abilities, and I was like, oh, this looks really cool, because like RPGs were kind of a game that I liked in the Nintendo era. And I like that, like, advancing kind of, your character gets stronger and better as you play, and you become a really powerful person toward the end of the game. And especially when you revisit some of the old places, it's just that fun RPG element of, I'm just so much stronger coming back to this old
Yes.
place. And it looked like that was going to be the game I was going to get, and I was wildly different, disappointed.
For me, so similar to you, this was at a time where in 97, we had gotten Final Fantasy VII, which was the most significant game release, in my opinion, since like Mario 64. It was before Ocarina of Time. It was
Yep.
a big freaking deal. And everybody in America became obsessed with RPGs.
Oh yeah.
Before this, we can get into the RPGs we played before this, but I had very small dabbles in RPGs. And then Final Fantasy VII just blew my wig back. It just was amazing.
That game was like what all my PlayStation friends talked about it. That's all they talked about. My cousins had a PlayStation. That's the only game they talked about for like a solid year. I can understand why it was just like, it swept the nation
Yep.
of gaming.
Yeah, absolutely. So because of that, this was Nintendo 64's first dabble into RPGs. This is pre-Paper Mario. This is pre-Ogre Battle 64. And I don't think there's many other RPGs on the N64. Like, I wouldn't consider Pokemon Stadium an RPG,
No.
a lot of games. So technically, this is like one of the top 3 RPGs on the N64. So that's a it's a big award for Quest 64. So it was being hyped up a lot in Nintendo Power. The game was getting a little more hype on the internet too. Like, this was kind of very early days of the internet. And then the Nintendo Power score comes out. And Nintendo Power gives it a 6.3 out of 10, which feels high. But here's the thing. This is weird. They made the line of it is, let me see if I can find it. The line of it is, it feels more like a trip to the dentist than a quest.
Oh,
But then
that,
how are you giving it a 6.3 out of 10?
that
That's like
feels
a
so apt.
passing grade. So I'm just starting to realize Nintendo Power just gave anything that came out on the system at least a 6.
Yes.
But
That
that's when
sounds
I
about right.
started realizing. I was like, "Oh, if Nintendo Power didn't give it a 7." So it was a rental, and I think I played it for a day, and I couldn't play it anymore.
Yep.
So yeah, that's my experience with it. Um, you know, when you first bought it, was there any point where it was, like, enjoyable for you, or were you kinda, was there is it you buy a bad game, and there's this period of time where you're talking yourself into it, right?
Yeah,
You're like, "Yeah,
convincing yourself.
and the N64 was, like, the last real system that I bought dog shit games for. I think I got
Mm,
smarter as I got older.
yes.
But what was it like initially playing it for you?
So it was one of those things where it's like, well, I have to like this game. I bought it or I got it somehow. Like I can't even remember if I bought it myself because like that was the era where it was like the only way to get games was through birthdays and Christmas.
Yes.
And this came out a little bit before I would say my birthday. So maybe it was one of those games where I'd asked for my birthday because it looked interesting and it was like, and I had it. But I know Christmas of '98 was like Zelda, Ocarina of Time. That came out. That was 100% the Christmas of '98. But this was like I asked for this. I wanted this because it looked interesting. So I've done this to myself,
Yes.
and it was the there was parts of the game that I actually liked, but there was other parts that was just like, "This is a slog and so boring at times." I was like, "Come on, let's get to the fun parts and not just the endless grinding of it." Or it's like, I hope it gets more interesting as we go further into the game where, like, I'm exploring and finding new stuff, and it was like it was just almost like a repeat of the same stuff with a different color scheme.
100%. And the thing is 98 is, like, considered one of the best according to the internet, it's considered, like, one of the best years of gaming. Like, you get Pokemon, you get Metal Gear Solid, you get Ocarina of Time, right? You've
I
got
think even
Baldur's Gate coming out on the PC, you've got Half-Life
I was
coming
gonna
out on
say,
the
is it
PC,
Half-Life in '98 too?
Resident
Yeah.
Evil 2, StarCraft, Grim Fandango. Like, it's just
It's a banger year.
it was a glut of amazing games. Even the games that didn't slap as hard, like Banjo-Kazooie, Crash Bandicoot
Oh,
3,
love
Tekken
those.
3, Gran Turismo 1, they were all these amazing games, and I feel like part of Quest 64's problem is that it's sandwiched between all this amazing shit, right? You've got,
Mhm.
the same year that Half-Life, Metal Gear Solid, and, and Ocarina of Time are hitting these different consoles, the disappointments just kind of feel more disappointing, right?
Yes, it's hard to shine bright when there's you're standing right in front of the sun.
Yes. Now I have to, admit something here on the podcast, right hand up. Every time I've played Quest 64, I have never made it past the forest. And I did a complete let's play of this game to really see it, which was just people throwing up magic barrier at bosses over and over again.
Yep.
I have never made it past the forest because I've never had the ability to grind hard enough where those enemies do not destroy me.
Yes.
Now, as someone who has seen a lot of the game, did you make it to the final boss on your own?
I never beat the game. I did eventually succumb to the realization that I'm just not enjoying this anymore. Every time you pick the controller up and you go to play a game, you have that excitement, that
Yes.
energy. It's like I can't wait to play it. It's all I could think about. I gotta play it. I want to play it. And
Yeah,
every
yeah.
time it was like, oh, I gotta beat this game. I have to go beat it. It starts to feel like homework. And it's like I don't want to go play it, but it's my only new game I have, so I'm supposed to play it. And it
Yes.
feels like you're responsible for playing it. And it's like, why am I playing this anymore? I eventually that I succumb to that feeling and it's like, all right, I can't play anymore. I think if I remember correctly, and I watched a couple Let's Plays, somewhere around I think the second boss I beat, and I may have gotten halfway to the third boss,
Okay.
but that was about it. I know there was 4 bosses, like 4 element stones or something you had to get,
Yeah.
and I I never beat the game ever. I I think I saw a video of it once years later. I was like, I wonder what the end boss is like. And I was like, nope, not that not that interesting. Kind of boring.
Very boring. What was your experience with RPGs before this?
So like I guess like maybe Pokemon on the
Pokemon is a legit RPG. Absolutely.
I just can't remember if I played that the year before. I think I played that the year before if it came out in '97. I don't remember the year it came out.
No, Pokemon was 98.
Then I may have played Pokemon somewhere after this, but I know the only other 2 I could think of that I'd played before this was Zelda 2 was like the closest to an RPG,
Yeah.
but that's like more of an action RPG kind of game.
Uh-huh.
And then a game called Chrysalis, which is another action RPG for the NES. And my friend and I used to play that a lot. Like he had the game and we'd go over and try to beat the game every couple weeks. We'd replay it and try to beat the whole thing.
Yeah. Crystallis was a game that I didn't play till it came out on Game Boy Color.
Hmm.
I was in early high school. I wanna say, like, in the early 2000s, it came out on Game Boy Color. It's kinda fun. I don't think I ever
Yeah.
beat it on Game Boy Color, but it was a really fun game to have on the go. Because when I was traveling, like, there was a lot of game packed into it, so I do have warm memories of that game. For me, again, I was just dabbling in RPG, so Final Fantasy VII, Super Mario RPG, I had played on the Super Nintendo. Did you play Mario RPG when it first came out?
I don't think I've ever played Mario RPG.
Whoa!
Yeah. Again,
Yo!
I didn't have a Super Nintendo till much later
Oh,
because I was a
man,
Genesis kid.
okay. And then there was a game called Illusion of Gaia that came out on the Super Nintendo that I played a ton of, and it always comes up as, like, the 80th best game on the Super Nintendo on, like, lists,
Mhm.
and it's crazy to think, like, 'cause it was a pretty serviceable game, but the depth of the Super Nintendo library is so deep that, like,
Oh,
games like
yeah.
that get swept under the radar. Okay, so I have a story for you, and then I wanna ask you, if you had any other games like this on the N64 or during this era. So, this was the last of the eras where I would buy pretty terrible games, or ask for them for Christmas or whatever. So, my version of Quest 64 was Sub-Zero Mythologies for the N64. I was such a big Mortal Kombat fan. Nintendo Power was blowing it up, and it was like, "Yeah, you can play as Sub-Zero, and it's like RPG action," and I was like, "This sounds amazing. I love Mortal Kombat." And I asked for it for Christmas, and I got, like, 4 levels in, and I wanted to like it so bad, and it was so terrible. When you buy that game or when you own a game that's just horrible, especially because, like you said, we were on limited resources.
Yeah, it feels like work. Like, and of
Yeah.
course, you're not you're a kid. You don't know what that. The only thing you can relate it to is this feels like homework. I don't want to do it. I have to do it.
I know, especially because Mythologies was coming out around the time where the N64 was cooking too. Instead of playing Mythologies, I wanted to play Mario Kart. I wanted to play WCW Revenge, but I kept forcing myself to play Mythologies because I'm like, my parents spent $60 on this. It was my Christmas present. I have to really try.
Yeah.
But any other memories of like really N64, Super Nintendo, like just really bad games that you did the same thing with?
A couple of them. My sister, I think she got Yoshi's Story.
For N64?
Yes. So I did. I rummaged around. I could not find my copy of Quest 64, but I did come across my copy of Yoshi's Story in my basement, and I was like, "Oh my god!" I remember this game. It was not great. It was one of those things. It was the game had so much to it, but there was nothing you needed to like. There was not a requirement. You could go and really try hard on it, but you could beat the game in like at half an hour.
Yeah, you could
It
beat the
was
game
like,
in 45 minutes, and you could go back and collect watermelons or something? There was, like,
yeah,
one
you had to
thing
get
that you could go back and
30 of the
collect.
one special fruit in every level, and then it would unlock something special at the end of the level, like another Yoshi.
So, I will tell you that Yoshi's Story is the reason that I finally unsubscribed to Nintendo Power.
Oh,
They gave that game a really good rating, and I took my $60 to the store and bought
oh
Yoshi's
god.
Story, and I beat it within an hour. And I was like, "This could have been anything else. This could have
Yeah.
been, like." And I think I was choosing between that or, like, Banjo-Tooie or some other game
Oh,
that was good, and that was it. I unsubscribed from Nintendo Power, and at that point on, like, I was gonna trust other publications. I was a big EGM fan. Were
mhm.
you Electronic Gaming Monthly fan?
No, I had only a little bit of Nintendo Power for a while, and it was like a 2-year subscription at both at best, and it was around this era. And then, um, I had like somehow randomly some company would like send you magazines,
Uh-huh.
like gaming magazines, and they'd be like, "Oh yeah, you can sign the bill me later thing."
Yeah.
And my my dad went, "I didn't sign the bill me later. They just started sending it, and I just didn't tell them to stop. So they kept sending it for like 6 months, and they're like, 'Well, you owe us money.'" And he's like, "I didn't ask for this. You just sent it to me." So then that subscription stopped. But there was other games like that, EG game. Like there was one that was more Sega based at the time.
I remember that. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I remained so loyal to Electronic Gaming Monthly through high school because it was the one publication that pretty much did me right, but I was mostly becoming an internet guy at that time, but
Yeah,
Nintendo Power kept getting me right up until, like, '98.
that was also in the era when it was like you'd go to the mall and you'd find like a GameStop or EB Games or like there was one other one that was some sort of game. It was like a version of GameStop, like that kind of name. I can't
There was,
remember
like, an
what it was.
electronics boutique,
Yeah,
there was a GameStop, there was a Walden Software, and then, like, people would also buy KB Toy Stores, Toys R Us, all that
yeah,
stuff.
they had those. So those were the stores when we in the malls near us. That was like you go there and you find out more about games and see new games because that was the only way to really learn about them.
Yeah.
Because again, like the internet was still in its infancy. There was no big websites with tons of stuff. Like IGN didn't even, I don't even know if they even existed. And it was just, that was the way, that was the place to learn about new games and see new games and even sometimes play them if they let you have the demo areas.
Yeah, the demos were kinda nice. I like the kiosks. The first time I ever touched an N64 controller was in a Blockbuster. The
Mm.
first time I ever touched a Sega Genesis controller was in, like, some kiosk in the mall. So yeah, those were kinda big. Okay, let's get to potentially the shortest topic here. Do you wanna get us started on what has aged the best about Quest 64?
Okay.
Top
Only
3 RPG on the N64, remember
top
this.
three RPG. With the top three RPG, I'll give you the top three things that I thought were actually interesting. One of which I actually liked when I was younger, and the other two was more of something I noticed being seeing games nowadays and more stuff has come out and more RPGs out there is the one thing I thought was interesting and it's you don't really catch it till later on and I think you have to kind of like experiment with it is there's the four elements and when you start you have one power in each element. You have these little rinky dink spells, but as you gain more elements in the game, you get more powers, but then you can actually mix and match elements. So if you use like fire and water, you make like a steam attack as opposed to just like a water pillar or like a fireball. So you can start mixing and matching your elements, which I thought was an interesting aspect. Again, new to RPG, so I wasn't used to these kind of things. And that was one of the few things I thought was an interesting and like really well thought out battle system. However, the way it works in the battle doesn't quite mesh well, and I was surprised by the battle octagon areas.
Yeah,
That was news for me because I was so used to like turn based, where it's like you take your turn, I take my turn. You don't
yeah,
move, I don't move. You just sit there and let's see what happens. And the attacks just come and go instead of like, oh, I can dodge this, or I can if I move when their attack starts, I can fight. I can only get hit once instead of three times. So
yes.
that kind of stuff was interesting. That was like an active battle system that most times the RPGs are just like Final Fantasy VII. You press your button, they attack, then they do their attack, and you hope you survive.
Yeah,
The other two unique things I saw was the number of unique enemies is wild in this game. For being an N64, I think there's like upwards of 50 unique enemies. Every area has a different set of enemies, and there's no seems to be repeats of the enemy types, which is crazy to have that many in a game of this era. Like you look at Zelda comes out a couple months later and you get like the red guys, the blue then there's a blue one. And
yeah,
then there's like a green one. So they just reuse assets with different colors. Whereas this it was like everything was unique and a unique sprite and had its own unique movements and attacks and everything. It's like this is way too much.
I will get into that later, yes.
And the last thing I thought was odd for an RPG, but I think kind of works. The only reason it works is because of the grind of this game. Is that when you die, it just is like a respawn. You
Yeah,
don't lose your progress. You don't lose your health. You don't lose all your experience that you gained. It's just like, oh, you never mind. You wake up over here,
yeah.
and then you can save and go back out. So I think that had to have come later when people play tested and went, the grind is too much. We need a way to minimize the grind. And it was like, well, how about if when you die, you don't lose any of your progress?
Yeah. It's a fucking trek. I died like 3 times in the forest when I was streaming it, and to get back, it was like an MMO trying to run all the way back, though.
Yes.
I definitely agree with you on a bunch of those. We definitely overlap. I like that my MP refilled as I ran. It was just nice to
Yep.
not have to worry about at least one resource.
Yeah.
Um, I agree that the amount of enemies is very, very, like, it's impressive. The problem is 2 problems with it. One is that you're memorizing each enemy based on what they're weak to and, like, where to fight them.
Yes.
So, because there's such a glut of enemies that I never really felt comfortable, even when I got to the forest, wondering, like, "Oh, wait, who's this guy again? This is the guy that I gotta hit with a rock and stay away from, and then the next guy is a guy that I gotta hit with wind." There's just too many enemies, and every fight is contingent on a specific element or a specific strategy.
Yeah. It's very much like that rock paper scissors kind of thing. where you have fire beats wind, and wind is used against rock, and rock is used against water, and water is against fire. Like there's everyone's weak to something and more immune to another thing.
Yes.
So you kind of have to learn all the enemies by experimenting and then memorize them and memorize their move set so that you can dodge it during the fight. So it's, while it is cool that there's so many unique things, it's like, holy crap, you have to learn all of them.
I will say that it feels like the the enemies in the game is the thing that they put the most care into and the most
Yeah.
time, which is
Yes.
so weird, but I'm assuming they just had a programming division or team that the people that were in charge of creating the enemies were just way overzealous and way, like, super excited about what they were doing,
Yeah.
because the characters themselves have no persona. The characters themselves have no aura, not a lot of unique stuff, and we'll
It's
get
like no
into the
story
party
from
system
them.
later and not having any side characters, so it feels like they went all in on the enemies. So it's like,
Yeah.
what's aged the best and what's aged the worst? I say the other 2 things that have aged the best is I like the spatial, like, battle system a little bit. It was kinda cool. You know, it's like it's a little annoying at times when certain moves, like the water move, how you have to be really close, things like
Yeah.
that, but at least it's adding a tiny bit more strategy in a mostly kind of bland battle system,
Hmm.
and I'd say the genre has aged the best, because the only reason this game got any traction was because of the genre it was in. So,
Yeah.
like, if this game sold any copies, it's because highly because it was in a genre that was so desired on the Nintendo 64.
Yeah. This is Nintendo 64's answer to Final Fantasy VII, and all your friends are talking about Final Fantasy VII. All of them are saying how great this game is and how cool it is, and the story is awesome, and the game's awesome, and it's so much fun, and like the battle system is interesting, like this whole big thing, and you get more powerful and all this stuff. And it's like, okay, so this is our game for the N64, and you're just a solo guy running, waddling around. He has the silliest run.
The footsteps sound so bad,
Yes.
and you're running all the time. You're
Yep.
just running everywhere. It's like there's no fast travel from what I can tell, there's no anything. You're
So
just
there is a fast travel, and it's not great.
oh, okay.
So I don't know if you got these. I did watch a bit of your stream. I don't know if you got the wings.
Oh, I saw that in the Let's Play, but
Yeah.
they didn't
So
really use it. Yeah.
the wings, just the problem with that is you get a set of wings, and it will take you back to that town
Okay.
and consume the wings, but you
Okay.
can't get more than one of them. So you then have to go back into the town and find the person that gave them to you and get them again. So if you are running out, so like if you ran out to the forest, you're like, I'm gonna die. I'm gonna fly myself back one of the towns that's closer or something. You then have to go find the guy that gave you the wings to get another set, because again, there's no money in this game, so there's nothing to buy.
Yes.
So that was another weird thing. It was like everyone was just like, "Oh, you're on a quest. Here's some stuff. Here's some healing items. Here, you know what? Here's a freebie. Here's a freebie." And but if you have an item, they're like, "Oh, you've already got an item. You don't need another one." So it's very much like a like a communist system where it's like, "Oh, you've already got one. You don't need one." But if you're
Yeah.
out, they'll give you some.
In a genre that is, like, so much known for, like, resource management, where when you're playing a Final Fantasy, Dragon Quest, whatever, like, you're managing your money, you're managing the amount of potions,
Yep.
healing
Heal
potions
items.
or MP fillers, elixirs, revives, all that stuff.
Hmm.
And for it to just not be in Quest 64 is such a weird choice. The other thing is I will say that the element system is kinda cool. I hate that I have to mix 2 fires to make a higher fireball. I
That
hate
was
little things
weird.
like that. I don't mind the mixing when it's, like, other things, but it's
Hmm.
so weird. It's like, "Dude, I made this really unique drink, and I poured 2 Red Bulls into 1 cup." And it's like,
Made a
"Okay,
super
like,
Red Bull.
yeah, it's a super Red Bull." And I'm like, "I get it, but, like, can we just, like, figure out a different way to do this?" And it drove me bananas that they didn't just create it on a diamond, like, on the
Yes.
screen, so I
It.
could easily see what each element was on the 4 buttons. Why
Hmm.
would they not do that? Why would they not make it like, it's bananas.
So I think in the old system, like you could press a button to see them in that triangle shape. If I remember correctly, like you had to press like a Z or something, and it would bring up your elements
I
to
think you're
look at them,
right.
but not actually use them. So it was like, but like you said, you have the four elements on the bottom of the screen. Just put them in a triangle or a diamond. Just put them
They're
in a little
always
square.
there.
They're
They're
on the
always
screen at
there.
all times. It's not like they disappear from the HUD. They're just there.
Yeah.
Like it it made no sense why they didn't do why they like those little things that make a game interesting or easy to play. This did not.
I have never felt a game feel so rushed as I felt that this was. I felt like if I had to like, if someone was like, "Use a one-word review of Quest 64," I would just say rushed.
Yes.
What were they rushing for? I have no clue. The game came out in June of 1998, so they weren't even trying to make a holiday season.
No, they were. If anything, they're trying to be out not during the holiday to compete with Zelda. It's like the only reason to rush is to not compete with a game that you know is gonna.
Yeah, because what was that, November '98 was
Yeah, it was
Ocarina of
late
Time?
'98 because I got it for Christmas that year.
Okay.
It was like it was one of those. It was like, oh, we don't. It's like when they have a new Marvel movie come out. It's like, well, we can't have our movie release in the summer, the same weekend as like a massive Marvel movie. So we're gonna have it come out in February
Yeah.
when nothing's coming out. It's like,
Except this year when freaking New Avengers is going right up against Dune 3. But that's,
yeah,
okay. We were very nice in What's Age the Best. I'm gonna get us started in What's Age the Worst. Where's the story? The game
yes,
begins, and it's
yes.
like, okay, well, your dad went to go look for a book that controls the elements, and now your dad's gone, so now I gotta go find your dad. And then there's never any more story.
The and even in the game booklet that you get with the game, there is like half a page of story, and half of it is describing the world you're in, and then the other half is like, yeah, you should go on this quest. The same thing that they tell you in the beginning of the start of the game, which you never return to that tower again. Like you never have to come back to that start area. It's like a tutorial area that they're like, yeah, don't bother coming back. There's nothing here for you.
It is so wild that a genre so predicated on narrative. I only made it like an hour and a half in the stream. So I'm like, let's go watch a let's play. Maybe I'll get more story. Nothing. And then the ending in North America is just a bunch of words flashing on the screen.
Hmm.
That's it. It's just a scrolling thing of like, here's what happened. When Quest 64 came out later in Japan and Europe, there was actually a cinematic at the end of it. And it showed like all the people's reactions to his successful quest. And then it ends with him getting on a boat and going, and like it's a hint to the next sequel.
Yeah, like here comes Quest 64 too.
Yeah. But it's so clear that in the couple of months that they had extra to sell this internationally, they actually put a little bit of effort into it. Yeah, the story, I mean, I'm sure that's one for you as well, but, you know,
Yeah.
what's something else for you that's the worst, and you can't say everything else?
So that is an easy one. The battle music. The music and the battle music is the same, like through most of the game. I remember hearing that battle music and it would like a weight would just land on my chest. It was just so upsetting to hear it because you again there's no enemies that you can see. You have no indication. Like in Pokemon, you walk in the grass, you're gonna get a random attack. When you're not walking in the grass, you won't. In this, anywhere that you're not in a village, you can get randomly attacked. So if you're like, I gotta get to the other end of this path, I hope that I don't have to get into a fight, but I'm in a fight. And you get out of the fight, you take like 20 steps up, I'm in another fight. And it's just that music every single time. And the music in the background just, there's nothing interesting about it.
The music
There's
is
nothing
so ass.
iconic.
It is this weird Temu version of the Final Fantasy VII battle music. It's just slightly similar to it, but just like the hand-me-down, like the dollar store version.
It,
And at least using Final Fantasy VII as like another example, you get the boss music in Final Fantasy VII. Genova has its own music. Like there's all this different music. For Quest 64, it's just the same like 4 songs over and over again.
yeah.
Drove me nuts. The other thing is walking around the environments, there are so many empty rooms, empty corridors, empty
Hmm.
places where I'm
Yeah,
just alone.
that's
There's
right.
no one around me. There's no living. Like the only time I feel like there's a living, breathing world is when I get to a town. And even then, it's like 3 buildings and a bunch of people behind the desk. But everything is like green and brown, but not in a good way.
like in an RPG, you get into those towns and it's like, well, there's only really 3 buildings you need to go into, but there's
Yeah.
20 buildings or 10 buildings. And each one you go in, there's someone in there and they're talking about the story. Like, oh, this is what happened to me. They're fleshing out the story, making it more interesting, making you care about the story. And in these ones, it's always, if you find someone that's not giving you an item or allowing you to save, like the inns or like the shop, they go in and they're like, oh, you're Brian. You're going on the quest. Yeah, I know. I'm doing that. I'm the guy doing it. I'm the only one in the game doing stuff.
Yeah. It was even like earlier games, like you go back and you play the Super Nintendo Final Fantasies, you play Earthbound, these towns are like bustling, there's people all
Yeah,
around,
there's people all moving around. They're doing stuff. They're all
and they're all
talking to
saying
you.
like weird shit to you, especially in Earthbound. Like they'll just,
Mm.
but it makes you feel like you're in a living, breathing world. And Quest 64 was just so sparse.
And they typically in those towns you get side quests, something to do besides the story. So
Yeah.
it's like, oh, hey, can you help me out? I'll give you something if you go down to the river down there and attack the guys that are attacking the harbor so that
Yeah.
we can then have ships. So I'll give you some money or I'll give you items or something.
Yeah.
Anything to make it so it diverts you from the main story. Nope, none of that. Just back to just keep on the main story. Stay on the straight and narrow path. It's like in a game called Quest 64, there is literally only one quest. It's the quest.
So when I think about the name Quest 64, so like there needs to be some kind of modifier like Dragon Quest. Great.
Yeah.
Okay, that sounds good. Final Fantasy. If the game was just called Fantasy, I'd be like, that's very strange. And the reason Final Fantasy was named Final Fantasy was its last hope. It was,
Mhm.
I get it. You're just Quest?
Yeah. Because
The
you
fuck does that
can't count
mean?
64 because that is the era where 64 was slapped onto any game, like Mario 64. So you knew it was on the N64. They would just drop that 64 at the end of a lot of games. So you have to take that away and just call it Quest.
Why? Like, I just,
Well, it fits. You only have one quest. It's not quests with a plural.
you're right. If Mario was just named like, if Mario 64 was just named Jump 64, it would make sense because he just jumps.
Yes.
Or if GoldenEye was just called Shoot 64, I would get it. It makes it like logically sure, but like, why was so little effort put into anything? And it was published by THQ. It wasn't like this was done by LGN in the NES days.
Yeah, it's a good publishing company that they made a lot of good games, but this feels like they gave it to their interns.
I mean, THQ has like four of the best games on the N64 because they did all the damn wrestling games. Like they were a
Yes.
very prominent company.
I mean,
Okay.
they had an ad for the wrestling game. What was it? There's an ad in the back of the game book for WCW versus NWO, like World Tour or something. That
Yeah.
there was advertisements in the back of your game booklet in the THQ games, and it was all for the THQ games
Wow.
at the time.
What's age the worst for you in addition to what we've chatted about?
So, in a couple of the Let's Plays, I don't think I ever really figured this out that like in the game, you're supposed to gather elements to make your character more powerful. And the more
Yes.
elements you get, the more spells you can acquire. So at certain tiers, you get better elements.
Yes.
Well, I would, of course, trying to spread them out and get like even numbers of each. So it was always like 5, 5, 5 across the board.
Yeah.
But it was the fact that every single Let's Play that I saw in a couple of videos that I saw, it was like, don't bother picking one of the elements. Just give up on one.
Yeah.
Get water as fast as you can to like near max, because as soon as you get to a certain level, you get a heal spell, and basically then you can't lose.
Yeah.
So the game is easy mode as soon as you get like, I think 7 of the water spell
Yeah.
spirits or something. So it was like you build a game that the easy mode shows up real fast, and then you don't have to care about doing anything. I think one of them, the guy basically said, yeah, once I get this spell, I don't have to fight anyone anymore. Because in the weird way, you gain experience. Like if you take hits, you gain experience in HP.
Yeah.
If you don't get hit, you gain experience in agility.
Yes.
So basically, he would just get into a fight and just heal himself and not fight and just stand near the edge. And then when he was low on health, he would step out and escape. No penalties, nothing like that. There's not like you had to take 2 turns to do it. It was just like, oh, you're in the outside, you can leave. And then he'd just walk around a little bit, get his magic back, heal up, and then do it again. It was like you basically turned it into easy mode where you can become invincible through grinding. And it
Yeah.
just was like, why would you build something like that? Why not make it like the heal spell can only be used so many times and it does a big heal, but not like a little heal? Like they built this system with the spirits that seemed interesting, but then made it a clear and present, like this is the path you should take every time you play because you can't beat it otherwise.
We're also so coded by RPGs where for some reason we love fire spells. I don't know if it's
Yes.
because like fire is always the first element you get in Final Fantasies, blah blah blah. So naturally, the first thing I do is I level up fire the first couple of times in Quest 64.
Hmm.
And then I realized, like, oh, I should have put all those points into either Earth because Earth has the most overpowered physical attack,
Yep.
or another element so I can work towards either a heal or the magic barrier that makes you immune to everything.
Everything.
Like, I watched the
Everything.
final boss fight, and it's just like you cast every three spells, you just cast magic barrier. And
Yep.
the final boss is casting like some attack called Mammon, which is supposed to be like this big giant, and it's just like nothing.
Yep.
And I'm like, okay. Yes, that must have been fun if you knew about it, if you had a guide and you knew about that on Blockbuster rental and you could get
Hmm.
really powerful and get really far. I'm sure the game was a little bit different. And I'm not
Yes.
saying I know this is a little bit of a a recency bias thing because the games did come with the instruction manual,
Yes.
but playing Quest 64 pretty blind, that game don't tell you shit.
Nope.
Like, not a single NPC tells you, "Hey, by the way, maybe you should do
Yeah.
this." Like, nah, you're out there and that's it.
I mean, even there's like in Zelda, they're like, hey, when you want to go jump on your horse, you should press A. And sometimes they'll even make jokes about it. Like, I don't know what that means, but you probably figure it out.
There's always
And it
that
was
meta
like,
joke, I know.
yeah, they always do that little meta joke in those kind of games, but they say like you should press this button. Like there's people that give you these hints that you don't have to read the book to do it. It's like the Quest 64 book was like an essay. You had to read it to actually be able to play the game.
Yeah. That is it's even like Link Between Worlds, like, they're like, "Hey, you can save at these roosters." I don't know what
Yeah,
save means, but, like, every game is kinda supposed to give you,
a
like, a
little bit
little
of a
bit of
hint.
information. Again, this is, like, not as much of a problem in '98, but also when I rented it from Blockbuster, it didn't come with the instruction manual. It just
Yeah,
came with the game. So it's like I was asked out in '98 when I
you
was a
were
little
just
kid. I was 12 years old trying to figure out what the F was going on with this game. Okay, my biggest what's aged the worst is that there are no other main characters. There is no party system.
hmm.
There is none of that strategy that goes into formulating your party, formulating different types of, so maybe you've got a healer, a physical damage guy, and a tank. None of that stuff was there. So it's like, coming off of a year before that where like Cloud is cool in Final Fantasy VII, but Barrett and Tifa and Sid, those are the real guys that make that game go. And even
Hmm.
nowadays, like Claire 33, Metaphor Refantasio, you get these full parties of interesting characters.
Yeah.
Here was none. Like,
Your interesting characters are the spirits that you find, the spirit pieces. That's like, and they're just spells. Like that's the most interesting thing in the party system. Is
yeah,
air quotes on that. Your party is the spirit stuff that you find and gather. But like again, it's not interesting. But if there's only one clear path, it's heal spells, avalanche, and shield, and the this whatever the barrier magic was. It
yeah,
was like every boss you could just put the barrier magic on and do an avalanche, put the barrier on, avalanche, avalanche, barrier. It was like, and you win.
yeah.
Like the boss fights didn't feel big, they didn't feel iconic. The only time when I played it when I was younger, the only time it felt difficult was when I didn't grind enough to survive like the 3 or 4 attacks that they would get off before I died. So it was like, oh, so I just need to go back and just run around in circles, fighting and fighting and fighting, and then dying, and then fighting and fighting and fighting. And once I get enough, beat up enough, then I can take this guy out. And it's like that. The only way to win is just to get your your clock cleaned a bunch of times, and then you're tough enough to beat the boss in that area.
Sure. It's like training for MMA. You got to get your
Yeah.
ass beat for like 9 straight months to be strong by 64. I also think that there's an unwritten rule where when you're dealing with any type of fantasy, any type of mystical world, names need to be unique.
Oh,
If you have a generic name like Ned in Game of Thrones, you're always referred to as Ned Stark
yeah.
because a
Full
part of
names.
the name has to give it gravitas.
Mm-hmm.
Brian,
Brian.
Brian.
That's it.
Brian's not a bad name. If I meet a Brian,
Mhm.
it's not like they're like Bartholomew or like,
Yes.
like they have a decent it's a reputable name in real life. But just Brian?
Yeah, like, he
Like
doesn't even have a last name.
the ending of the game is like you run into Shannon and she says
Yes.
something and then you go to the credits and I'm like, "Shannon what? Can you be like Shannon Frostweaver?" That
Yeah,
would have been cool.
yeah, you're supposed
Even
to be a
even if you were
spellcaster.
right, like anything. But all the names in this game are so bland.
Like, you get Gandalf the Grey. Call him
Yeah.
Brian the Apprentice or something. So it shows you as you're starting new, and then as you go through the game, maybe someone gives you a title that says, "Oh, you're no longer apprentice, you're a journeyman because you've learned this magic." Have a co-guide that follows you around. I know there was a character in the game that like does that, but
Yes.
she's not that interesting. She again is like, "Hey, welcome to this town. You should go here next." It's like, okay, that there was two spots I could go on, and you just told me the right way to go. All right, I guess I'm going that way. Like, she literally is just like your map thing that says you should go to this one next, and you have every map of every area. As soon as you enter it, you have the map to it. So it's like, oh, okay, she said that word. I'll go look for that on the map. Oh, there it is. I guess I got to go down there and go to that town first, and then go to this and do that, and find her in that town where she says, "All right, now go over to this forest."
Whether it's like uh Garrus or Garus in Mass Effect, whether it's how do you pronounce in The Witcher, Geralt or
Oh,
Geralt?
I always pronounce it wrong. I've heard Geralt, or
I
I
didn't watch
sometimes I
the
say
Netflix
Gerald.
series. But the whole point of that is like there's that rule where like just put a little bit of effort into, like even if it's like Morrigan and like Dragon Age, right? It's
Yeah.
like that's a common name more so, but like at
Mhm.
least you put like a little bit of effort into kind of having like this, charming name.
Put
I
some.
can't believe the Bryans and the Shannons. And it's like it just feels like during the production, like no one really talked to each other because, like, if there
Mhm.
was any brainstorming going on, they would have been like, "Hey, like, maybe we should name this guy like Asteron, like fucking
Yeah.
Boulder Gate or something." But I don't know. That was one of my biggest complaints
Yeah.
besides the party system. Anything else for you that's aged the worst?
Well, one of the things that I thought was silly, and I think you noticed it, was like you have the staff, and in the first half of the game, if you are gonna fight instead of just take a beating to level up, just walk over and smack people.
I know.
It's basically the easiest, the most powerful weapon in the game, and I think there's even a spell later on that makes your smack attack even stronger. So it's like, but you never get a shield, you never get a different item, you never gain armor, you never gain inventory that makes you a better spellcaster or makes you a more powerful fighter. You just have the same stuff you started with, and the only thing that makes you better is your four spirits. So while that spirit thing was interesting in the elements, it's the only thing that makes it an RPG, because not and like and your health gaining more health. But they was like they had like, you have like 10 or so things you typically put in an RPG, and they're like, we only want these three. We're just going to take these three. We're not going to worry about these other interesting ones that people like. Like, that was one of the things in Chrysalis. Whenever we would get to a new town,
Yeah.
immediately, oh, I hope we have enough money. We got to go buy the new armor, the new upgrades, the new weapons. Like, we got to get the stuff that makes us more powerful, so that when we go out and start grinding a little bit in the new area, we can fight those guys. Because I do remember in some parts you go in and it's like you hit them with your sword and it just tinks. And you can't do damage. It's like, oh, we need a better weapon, so we got to get to the town.
Yeah.
Then we get the better weapon. Now we're killing those guys. Now we're getting big experience because we're killing the guys that we couldn't kill before. And you grind really, you progress really fast,
Yeah.
and then it starts to slow down. It's like, all right, now I need to go to the next area and get the stronger items. And like in this game, it's like, nope, your staff, and that's your item.
But
That's your weapon.
it's a miracle of the game to be able to make you feel like you've never progressed in any single element of the game. You never
Hmm.
get richer, you never get better armor, or like the only thing is the upgrading of the spirit elements, right? Like
Yep.
that's it. Like there's no other feeling of progression. When you're beating all these random enemies, you're not getting like these really cool items or there's no weapons or armor dropping from them, right? Like part of what makes the grind, Final Fantasy VIII was crazy with the random battles, but the enemies had stuff that you needed. So
Hmm.
at least it didn't feel as bad. Like this
Yeah.
game manages to never make you feel like a minute is well earned. You
There's
never
nothing.
make
They never
progress.
give you anything. There's never a reward for doing it other than XP.
Yeah.
And they don't even really. The only time they actually say like, oh, by the way, you've gained enough XP to kind of level up, is when you get a spirit, you level up your spirits, and they're like, "Hey, pick an element," and you're like, I guess water." I just keep pumping it into water, but it was like they're they they don't even do the thing that makes grinding fun, where it's like, "Oh, I'm so close to level," like in Pokemon, you're like, "I'm so close to the next level," and they level up. It's like, "Oh, I hope I get an item. I hope I get something. I hope I learn something new," and it'll tell me, "Nope, nothing." It just you finish a battle and suddenly you have 2 more HP. It's like you
I mean,
don't
you talk
even
about
realize it
Pokemon.
happens.
You talk about Pokemon in the year it came out. Pokemon was the RPG that made you feel like everything mattered. Everything
Yes.
meant something. When you were encountering an enemy, you could either catch them, you
Mhm.
could kill them for items, you could kill them for experience, you were working towards levels because you could evolve your Pokemon. You
Yep.
want to talk about a game that defined progression and wanted you to play because you wanted to play. You know what like
It
it was,
it made the
it,
grind fun and interesting.
right? And then, you know, yeah, it's just
And
it was rough, but the other thing that has aged poorly for me, and then I will definitely stop, is just it's the main character. So you look at Cloud from Final Fantasy VII, you look at, Link may not have been like the coolest looking character, but he looked different. There was something
Mhm.
about him that made him unique. Like probably the coolest looking character is Samus Aran because of her armor and stuff in the
Yep.
early days of gaming.
Oh, yeah.
It's so necessary to make a good looking main character. And not only do they make him look bland, but they give him the weirdest hairstyle imaginable.
He had that little nubbit that stuck out of his head, like,
It was
bobbed
almost
up and
like the
down.
you won't get this reference, but like the Bailey ponytail in like the 2010s in wrestling, like, I don't get it. It's so weird. Like these enemies are all so unique and they're all different. But then when it comes into NPCs and playable characters, they put a quarter of the effort into it.
Like, all the people you encounter and find, they have, like, interesting outfits, interesting armor, interesting, like, hair, and crazy, like, colors, and really vibrant, and, like, and the enemies, they're like that too. Nope, he is the most boring. It's like they made him, it was like, "Alright, this is a good start. Let's just put him aside. Maybe we'll come back to him. Let's make all the cool stuff now."
Yeah.
And then they didn't ever revisit him.
The
I would say the some of the other minor things that always bothered me was you walk too close to a door, and if you face it just right, it opens the door.
Yes.
If you get near a door, it opens the door.
Yep.
And trying to open a chest can be infuriating, especially when if you were just off angle and you press the open button, he would do he'd do like a little shot shimmy, or like he'd like whack the staff on nothing. So then you just, okay, I got to wait 2 seconds for him to finish this animation, and then turn a little bit and hope the little icon shows up.
I hated the red panda thing when, like,
Yeah.
you would hit and here's the thing, in the beginning of the game, I realized, "Oh, they're giving you chests you can't open." They're putting chests in the rooms as, like, an aesthetic thing. It's like, "Okay, we're gonna make this look more lived in, I guess."
Yeah, more like a big castle with a lot of riches.
Why would a game give you a chest you can't open? Video game 101. Don't give
Yes.
me any chests I can't open. Like it's yeah, it was and again that little animation made it really hard for me to realize I was doing the right thing. I was hitting the right buttons.
Mhm.
Just the wrong things were happening when I was hitting the right buttons, if that makes sense.
Yes.
Okay.
I I think we can't keep talking about this anymore because it's just going to be 90 minutes of
I agree. But I
what's
feel
the
like we've
worst.
gotten to a good place and I feel like
Yeah. We've covered some of the
all of
big bullet points.
we covered our but the thing is we're not just bitching for bitching's sake. Like there were all these standards beforehand. It's
Yes.
not like this game was
The f-
redefining RPGs or it's not
or it
like
was
this
the
game was
first
trying to do
RPG.
something different. They
Yeah, it
just
wasn't.
ignored everything that came before it.
Yeah, it's like, here's the 10 things that make an RPG, and they're like, "Well, we'll take a couple, maybe one or two, and we'll change this one and make it our own." It's like, "Okay, but like these other 7 are kind of important. Like they make it interesting and fun." Now, we
Yes.
don't have time for this.
Yeah. Your fire element take. Your hottest take, and I feel like
my
we've had some hot takes already.
my fire, like 3 fireball
Yeah,
take
you're just smashing the one button that you
until it
didn't realize wasn't fire because they didn't give you a diamond of elements, yes.
so my fire element take is that this is a good game if you add in those missing elements. This game is a good game if you make money a thing, buying items a thing, even a small team. Like if you can't have 3 or you can't have 4 people standing still in the octagon because they'll all get killed, make two. Make two of them. Make them take turns. Make you figure out which way the enemy is going to actually attack. Is he attacking Brian, or is he attacking Brian's cousin, or the other person? Like, then I can strategically place them around. I know other games have done it in the future. Like, this game is a good game. The bones of the game are good. There's just nothing interesting after you get to the out of the bones. There's no meat on those bones. So I think this game could have been amazing for what it was if there was something else in there.
So you have the same hot take as me. This might be, we're power ranking gamers' thirst for a certain type of game, right? 85, we're thirsty for platformers. Like 93, 92, we're really now the gaming is becoming more like mature, and we
More
love the
action.
action adventure.
Yeah,
Give me a
like
map, let me explore. Super
your
Metroid Link to the Past.
your Mega Mans, your Metroids, your Links.
98 might be the second highest ranking of insatiable gaming times
Mm-hmm.
for a genre. My hot take is this game only needed to get one thing correct and it would have been successful.
Yes.
The bar was so fucking low. All you have to do is maybe add party and money,
Yep.
one or two things. And we're talking about a viable game for a thirsty, hungry group of gamers. Why rush it?
Yeah, you get the money system in there. Now the grind is worth it. Now I'm not just gaining experience for the sake of gaining health so I can beat the boss. I'm also gaining things that I can buy that make it easier for me to beat the boss or make it more interesting. Something to make the grind worth it outside of purely XP.
This game did not have to do a lot.
It just needed to trip over the bar, and it dug a hole under the bar.
It looked at the bar and it said, "No, we ain't got time for that. We got to get this released before people forget that Final Fantasy VII was good." And it is so rushed. And again, like it's like pizza. If you just would have given me anything near decent, I would have been like, "Great. I
Mm-hmm.
like pizza." If as long as it's not pickle pizza, I would have been like, "I like pizza." But you can't fuck up the crust and the sauce and the
And
cheese. Like, just get one element correct. So our
in
hot
that
takes are the
metaphor,
same.
you
Like,
got
this
the
could have
box right.
been right. Like, this
Yeah,
could have been great. And
great. You
the
did a
bar
good
for
job on the
greatness was
box.
low.
The food inside is terrible, but you did a great job on the box.
Exactly. Oh, that last boss looked like such dog shit. It's like a weird gargoyle blue looking thing. I couldn't
Yeah.
tell what it was.
And you can't see it because the camera's terrible. You can't actually see it. It doesn't zoom out to let you see it. So
And you
you
have
only
no
get to see it
idea who this
once.
guy is.
Yeah.
Like, there's been no story. You're like, oh, this is the guy that took my dad.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Oh, this is the guy that I'm supposed to fight.
Yeah.
That's it. That's the
All right,
fight.
let me just spam magic barrier. Okay. Those are good. Those are good hot takes. It's so funny that
There's
there
a
is
good
some
game in there.
room to be kind to this game.
Yeah.
It is not the abomination that we say it is if it doesn't come at this exact time of gaming, right? It's like if you released a dog shit first person shooter right after Half-Life, you've
Yeah.
got the chance, you've got the momentum in this genre.
Mhm.
Make a half decent first person shooter, right? Make Doom 3 and we'll play it,
Yeah.
right?
Or you get like Halo comes out shortly after Half-Life 3. Like if Halo just shit the bed, it'd be like Half-Life showed you how to do it right. You
Yeah.
didn't take anything from that and make it better. But Halo did, which is why it's such a big franchise. But that's a perfect example of what you're saying. Like you've got the bones, you've got the how to do it right. Now make it yours. And
Yeah.
they said, nope, we don't need any of those examples. We're going to figure it out on our own from scratch. We're going to reinvent the wheel here.
Yeah. Did you ever play the D-Master? Did you ever see screenshots of it?
I never even really heard about it till looking up information a little bit for this podcast. So I was like, oh, there was a remake
Yeah.
or like a demaster of the same story. I was like, well, I hope they did something to make it better. And I saw a few things that said like, oh, a lot of the things that were bad about this game, they tried to fix, but it was on like the Game Boy Advanced. So it was probably
That
a
or the
little bit more,
DS? You might have been
or
the
maybe
GBA. You might be
it
right.
might
Something
be
like that.
it was on one of the handhelds. It wasn't on the console that
Yes.
size. And it's hard to, again, now you're competing. If it was on the Game Boy Advanced or the DS, like Golden Sun exists now.
Oh, yeah.
So there's another perfect, like you lost your chance. Golden Sun has just set the new standard for handheld RPGs.
Oh, yeah.
And that game, I loved that game. I absolutely loved it. It was the only game that brought me back to RPGs after this game
Oh, both
tainted them
Golden
so
Suns
bad.
rule. Both Golden
Yes.
Suns rule. I cannot wait to do a Golden Sun replayables. I
Yeah.
think it's gonna be so fun.
But, like,
I just
no,
have to have the time to stream it.
I never even, like, really heard of it, and I never even thought of, like, oh, that someone would make a like, an officially released demaster. Usually, that's, like, a fan-made thing, like, I think the new thing I'm seeing a lot of online is the Metroid Prime demaster, where they take, like, Metroid Prime and made it a 2D Metroid game. I was like, that's the stuff that, like, fans usually make,
Yeah.
but not an actual official release where they take a 3D game and say, "Let's turn it into a 2D game." Usually, they're going the other way.
Yeah, I think a big part of it was that the game was received more warmly on the later releases because,
Mhm.
again, when they had a couple of months, they were able to fix a couple of quality of life things between the late game credits that you get and a couple of like little additional story elements and narrative elements. It was just so rushed.
Mhm.
And I get it. You want to capitalize. You've got the golden goose of genres at a time where it wasn't available for the N64. Like, I can't even think. Like, it's like being in the desert and someone hands you dinner. And it's like,
Yeah.
okay. But then it turns out to be fast food and it's not very
Yeah.
good. But like, yeah, like it's so the demaster, I think, was them trying to take a little bit of those better elements and seeing if they could catch, a little bit of like recoup on the sales, but it ended up not happening.
No.
Last question before we get into our closing things, and I don't know what we're gonna do for our closing thing. I don't know if we're gonna. Uh, let me think about it. But what do you think the legacy of Quest 64 is?
So, like, this game gave you that legacy of the meme of it's a rental only game. It's a
Yes.
Blockbuster game. Like, you ask people like, "Oh, is that a good game?" Like, you talking to friends in school, and it was like, "No, no, rent it. Just rent it. Don't buy that game. Don't pay more than $4 to play this once."
Yeah.
It was like the Yoshi story was like that because, again, you could beat it in an hour. Why buy a game that was $60 you could beat in an hour? And the only way to make more fun was to do the same levels again harder for
Yeah.
yourself.
Yeah. I think the legacy of this game is it's a game that is not famous, it's infamous.
Mhm.
And I feel bad for it because you can tell in a lot of areas that people put a lot of effort into this, right? The amount of enemies that are there. Someone had to build this world. Someone had to build this battle system. Like there's
Mhm.
so much work that goes into making a video game, right? It's like you watch a bad movie and you're like, fuck, like 140 people worked on this bad movie.
Yes.
And it's like this poor game that took so much shit because it was the great hope on a console to finally bring us a genre that we were so desperately clamoring for. Is it did they shoot themselves in the foot by rushing it, by not, making sure that its quality was up to par, by not brainstorming the easy decisions? Yes. But at the end of the day, there might have been worse games on the N64, right? Superman 64 is ass.
Yeah.
Mythologies, so Sub-Zero Mythologies is so much worse than Quest 64.
Mhm.
So much worse. And maybe I'm bitter because I spent money on it, or my parents did, but there's worse games of this gaming console. But the reason this is so fun to talk about is the reasons why this poor little game got bullied for so long, you know?
They're like people, the games that are just those kind of like terrible ones of each generation and each console. And it was like, yeah, Superman 64 is one of the infamous ones. This one is one of the ones whenever someone mentions it, like, oh yeah, everyone's got a story about I rented it, or the few like I have to say I owned it.
Yes.
But everyone knows of it because of its infamy for what it was.
There's something, I wonder if gaming shares this. There's something about a movie where when it's really bad, it becomes campy and kind of fun. Think
Yeah.
about like the stupid Thanksgiving movie I watch every year, like all these different
Hmm.
movies that are so bad, but there's something fun about them, right? Like even go back
Yeah.
to like The Artist or whatever that like really like all these Plan 9 from Outer Space, all these really bad movies that are fun to watch because they're so bad. Quest 64 wasn't bad enough to be one of those campy games.
Hmm.
Like you go back and you play Super Mario 64 once a decade because you're like, how did this thing get made?
Yeah.
Can I get through a single ring? Or like some of the NES games that I had that were terrible. There's like this vision of like, man, I can't tell you how much I hated this game. It was so bad. Quest 64 is just this poor mediocre thing that's like not bad enough to be campy, but not good enough to have any loyal fans.
Yeah, like it doesn't draw you in to enjoy or get to that fun part. Because it just never happens. It's not like, oh, if I get to that fun part, then I can at least get to the part where I know I like.
Yes.
There is no I like this part
Yes.
portion. It's none of the big boss fights are crazy. There's no story. There's nothing there's nothing to enjoy. There's no meat on those bones.
Agreed. In the bonus level, let's do something different. So you can mention anything about Quest 64 that didn't come up that we may have missed. I'm out of stuff.
Yeah, I think
And
I've
let's do something. And I think you might choose a game that you mentioned before, but this episode is going to really inspire all of our fans to go out and replay Quest 64. So
yes, they're
Tony,
all gonna
this is
do it.
where you come in as a humanitarian, as a friend of the people. You have to recommend a role-playing game that these people can now reset their palate with. You need to come up with a role-playing game that people can go and play and like get back on the RPG bandwagon. So if you got nothing else about Quest 64, then please hop into that.
See, I don't think there's much else to talk about Quest 64. I mean, we've pretty much beat it down into the bar down to the ground where the bar it needed to jump over was.
Yeah.
So it knows where it belongs.
Uh-huh.
I would say I know I've mentioned it before. Golden Sun. It was a
Yes.
sublime RPG. If you're looking for a simple kind of RPG like that level, if you want something that's more big, grandiose, and like huge, hundreds of hours kind of game that probably could spend thousands of hours on, I would say Baldur's Gate 3. I've played that, and I think I have 3 to 4 campaigns active with
Yes.
friends in their campaigns. It is a wildly cool game, and every time I think I've thought of everything in that game, I have it. And Golden Sun was just so cool to me to have this game that, like, as you progressed, you gathered more party members. You had these each character had their unique skills and their unique magics, and some of their magics could help you, like, open up areas, kind of like a Metroid game,
Yeah.
a little bit like a Zelda game where it was like, "Oh, you can't get over there till you have a hook shot," and you finally get the hook shot, now you can get over that spot. And it was like some characters would get magic that would push stuff that you could then cross a bridge.
Yes.
It just was a great game, and the story was great. It was like I was invested in. It's like I wanted to know more about. It. I was like, who's this character that shows up? They did that classic, like the game starts, you're just some kid, and then the big boss guy comes and like kills your parents or attacks your village or knocks you down and like doesn't even want to bother to fight you because like you're just some guy. I don't even care. You're just a weakling. And then at the end of the game, you're like, now I'm back. Now I'm fighting you. And they're like, oh, I should have destroyed you when I first saw you. And it was that kind of like revenge story thing. It was just it has such a good story to it as opposed to, hey, you need to go get these crystals and your dad's missing. I think he got attacked.
There's a
All
book.
right, bye.
There's a book. There's a
Yeah.
Where's Waldo somewhere. You gotta go find this book. Golden Sun was I was very fortunate that I played both of them when I had the SP because I played so much Golden Sun. And if I
Mhm.
would have had to use AA batteries to get through a 40, 50-hour game on my GBA, I
Yeah.
was so grateful that I had the SP for both of those games because both Golden Suns, I put 40, 50 hours in. I couldn't, and like my parents were divorced, so I was constantly going back and forth. So let's get into a little bit of this for Golden Sun. The hardest part of having 2 places, 2 parents that live in different places was what consoles did you travel with? What
Mhm.
consoles did you bring back and forth? The Game Boy Advance SP was the best. The Game Boy Advance in general, because I could just bring that Golden Sun with me wherever I was going. Dad's house,
Yes.
mom's house, like school, like wherever I was going. Golden Sun is an excellent, excellent pick. I'm gonna go 5 years later and I'm gonna go KOTOR. I really like Knights of the Old Republic.
Oh,
And
okay.
you wanna talk about what a genre could become within just 5 years? Knights of the Old Republic comes out in 2003 for the Xbox, and, so it's the 1 year later generation console.
Mhm.
What an excellent RPG, and what a really fun game that I would love to talk about, and
I
it's
have
like
heard that's a great game.
yeah, it is really excellent, and to think, like, 5 years before that game, we were still getting kinda clunkers in the series, and
Mhm.
say whatever you want about Final Fantasy VIII, but that's still like a big, big, massive game to come out in '99 or whatever.
Mhm.
But I would recommend KOTOR to kinda, ease the palate on that. And on that note, we have spent an hour talking about the beautiful top 3 RPG on the N64, Quest 64. Tony, I really appreciate you living through this again. Going back to I was sad that you couldn't find the physical cartridge because that would have
Yes.
been a blast from the past.
Yes, it would have been. I would have been interested to even power it up and see if I still had my old save somewhere.
Can
That would
you
be really
imagine? We would have had to have you stream and finish Quest 64 live. Like, it would have been the first game you ever streamed on Twitch. On that note, I'll be excited to have you back on a replayable soon
Oh, yes,
when
that'd be
we'll be
sweet.
doing one of your favorite series of all time. Guys, thank you for joining us on this first episode of the Unplayables. We hope you had fun. We know we bullied this game the same way it was bullied in '98, but it's all out of love, and it's a game that was just this close from being really good. Take care of yourselves, everybody.